What is up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Truth and Transparency.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
You haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group that ran away.
Oh, really? This shit? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And
It's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay, they all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
What is up, guys? Good morning. Idaho4, it's been 2 years. I was going to do this last night, but I pushed it this morning. A lot has happened from then to now. One of those things for me being that I got to sit through the Delphi trials as much as I could. And I was there on two very, very important dates. The first one being everything to do with the DNA, everything to do with the samples taken from the house. Taken from out at the crime scene, the processing, getting it over to the lab, hearing from the Indiana State Police. She doesn't work there anymore, but she had worked there for 10 or 18 years. And another big day that I was there was for the verdict being read. And then before that was hearing and seeing Richard Allen in his 2 interrogations with the police. So that brings me to now it's been 2 years since the murders of Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. And comparing when people use the words a crime, that's an opportunity, crime opportunity. And that made me think a little bit about the Idaho4 case. And I wouldn't ever say that that was like a crime of opportunity. You know, they're at home and they're home. right? Over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of people that a lot of different like foundations have come about from the 4 victims' lives and their legacy. I know at the school, the University of Idaho put, the Memorial Garden. I know the different family members have teamed up with different positive organizations to carry on their child's spirit and legacy. As a parent myself, I've always said that these parents, they're always going to get my grace as far as however everybody handles everything differently. I could never imagine, and I don't know how I would be, and nobody knows how they would be. I did see that Xana's sister posted, and it was really a good post that I read yesterday. All this stuff is really sad. You can't talk true crime and not think that it's not like, that doesn't like have some type of a personal if you don't, I care about what I'm covering, otherwise I wouldn't talk about it. So So pretty much over the past 2 years, let's see, everybody would have been graduated, possibly not Ethan yet. And depending on where, then you have the surviving roommates where they would be, their lives changed as well. Would Kaylee be in Austin? Would Kaylee and Jack got back together? I don't know. So always my thoughts and prayers are with the families, but on a day like that, you want to be like thinking about people's birthdays and thinking about like the holidays, and then you have to have like an anniversary of that. Like, I don't know. It just fucking sucks, to be quite frank. I don't think anybody would ever, as a parent, would ever, how do you get over something like this? I think it'll always affect you. So, so while I was in Delphi, speaking about, people wanted to say that Libby caught her killer because she had the wherewithal to record a video of Abby on the bridge, and that ultimately caught her killer. So then I thought about that with the Idaho4 case, because there were no defensive wounds on the girls. Abby and Libby had no defensive wounds. Their throats were cut. Libby's in a very, very, I've never heard of this, vertical slices like this. I got to some of the crime scene photos. Like, it's just, they show those at the trial. They don't show those, they don't put them out in the papers or anything like that. But to see some of the stuff in the blood, and all I kept thinking about was like the, Idaho4 case. The difference is that the Idaho4 case was inside 4 people. This was outside the crime scene. But the weapon is believed to be the same, a sharp knife. You can't rule out that there was multiple knives. There could be up to 6 or 5 different knives based on the wounds. Can't rule that out with the Delphi case. There were something like 80 to 100 hairs that some of them you weren't able to get a profile of with the Delphi case. Others you were. Some had multiple, there was blood, a mixing of multiple samples, multiple profiles. They couldn't determine what was what. But listening to all of this, like really, I kept thinking about the Idaho4 case when I'm listening to all of this. And the biggest thing that just took me by complete shock was when the Indiana State Police forensic lab specialist, expert said that there was unknown female DNA that was by a they had a full profile of a female, and they only ran one sample against that. Like, meanwhile, there was like hundreds of males run, but here nobody wanted to look into the fact of this female unknown DNA. And I was just blown away when I heard that. Like, what? It's like almost like a girl can't be a killer. How many moms, how many women do we see out there right now facing a trial? Unbelievable. But they only had one comparison to that profile. I think and then she may have said, oh, maybe there was two that we used. So no effort was put forth to figure out. Now, this is separate than Kelsey's hair that was wrapped around Abby's finger. This is completely different. Completely different. It's unknown female number 2. And then they processed this sweatshirt that was on one of the girls, Abby, twice. And the first time that they did it, they only took 3 swabs from different areas. And then 2 months later, they went back. Actually, it was like a month and a half later, they went back and the lab girl was like, I want to test the hoodie again. And this time she took 20 some different samples and swabs from the hoodie. And it wasn't until she did that she was able to come up with, she found a unknown male profile. Did not match the killer's. Meaning, when I say the killer here, they had Richard Allen's DNA eventually. Richard Allen's DNA did not match the unknown, at the time, male profile. There was no unknown male profile. They could not get a unknown male profile. They could not get a profile for a male DNA in the whole crime scene, except for one full profile. And it was on the hoodie. That wasn't the original hoodie that the girl was wearing that day. Okay. If you compare the picture that she had just a couple, minutes earlier from when they're saying that she was murdered, she doesn't have that hoodie on. So the reason I'm telling you guys this story is because of what came back from the hoodie. What they always do at the lab, as I was listening, very, very taking copious notes, listening to this woman talk about, securing the crime scene, how they take their, it's on, obviously, the Indiana State Police's forensic team that's processing it, the crime scene, and then she's then receiving the stuff in the lab. And they have a rule in their lab that only one person works with. So if that's her case, she doesn't have other people that do any parts of the processing. And, they don't cut the cloth. There's not a helper for her. There's not an assistant. She does it all. And I thought about that and I was like, well, I think that that's smart. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, right? But we We just know that this person was working with it. Cross-contamination, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're dealing with her. So that was like a really big point that came out because it ended up mattering. So what they always do is when they get any profiles, they always run it against. So when they would have processed the scene, lab gets it. Lab has, an Excel spreadsheet, which is like listing everything that they have. If it was multiple, unknown profiles, if it was we weren't able to get something, they're labeling all of their stuff and it has a number. And we get to this when she decided to process it for the second time, the hoodie. She's able to come up with this unknown full male DNA profile. It's a guy. And she's like, we always run it against everybody that works for us, meaning the whole entire Indiana State Police, not just people that work in the lab. It's a database that anybody that works for the Indiana State Police, our information is in there and that we're running. So we have our DNA in there so that it can be, oh, that's one of our people. So she goes and she runs this sample against their database and nothing comes back as a match. Okay. So then here she is, she's sitting with, holy shit. We have DNA. We have unknown male DNA. It does not match to any of our people. I ran it through the database. Here we go. We also have unknown female. And at the time when this would have happened, we have 2 unknown female, and they're not the same full profiles. Okay. So they had 3. There was an unknown number 1 female, unknown female number 2, and now an unknown male. Okay. Now, in the Idaho4 case, very early on, when we're saying very early on, we're talking about, so I got the dates, by the way, of when the lab received the stuff. When she did the second go round with the hoodie, so she processed everything for the first time on February 17th. The second go round was March 22nd. I just don't have my stuff in front of me, so I'm going off of my brain. That's when she wanted to run the hoodie again because she only did 3 swabs of the hoodie. So then that gets me thinking about, the Idaho4 case, right? Because this matters, in my opinion. When she decides, so think about the Idaho4 case, use the date November 13th. Okay, then they're processing the scene on that next day as well, November 14th. All right. When they would have got stuff to the lab, you're starting to do your swabs, your lab work. It doesn't happen instantaneous. But in this Idaho case, it seemed like everything was happening as far as they were telling us that it was taking a long time or be patient. But here, now what we know now is it was like happening at this rapid pace. That's just like unheard of. So the Indiana State Lab has 2 unknown female full profiles. Wouldn't you think that you would go and get the family, all the family DNA to rule out the family, or to say, okay, this belongs to the family, not rule them out, but like, hey, we can assign this to the family because people are washing people's clothes. Whatever they're going to try to say. But let's see if we can get these 2 unknown females associated with family. Well, it wasn't until during the trial, which was 7.5, almost 8 years later, during this trial that I was just at, that they got the family, Kelsey and the grandma, they got their DNAs. Now they say that they got them before, but where would they be then? Like, and then they say that they got it like 5 times before. Again, were you fake swabbing? I mean, I have no idea. Were these buccal swabs? Or they, I mean, did they get swapped out somehow with like nothing on them? I mean, it's just wild. But anyways, during the middle of this trial, they're giving their DNA. And it comes back that out of both of the unknown females, one of them is a high likelihood that it would be, because they also got Derek's, the dad's, it would be a high likelihood that it would be belong to Derek, German, and Libby would be like a very, 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 very close relative, aka possibly Kelsey. It's like a high number. But the other unknown female did not match any of that. So we still have this unknown female. And that's to this day, nobody knows who that belongs to. Now, the unknown male DNA, they ran it through the database, or wasn't a hit. So it doesn't belong to anybody that works for the Indiana State Police. That's not just the lab people. That would be troopers. That would be anybody that is employed by the Indiana State Police. Then, and this was not, I think there was poor questioning here, because I would want to know a little bit. I'm a dates person. But then the lab expert testifies and says, okay, you end up finding out who the male DNA belongs to, correct? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, whose is this? Like, I mean, it's not Richard Allen's. Like, this is kind of like a big deal. And she's like, well, I ran it through our database again. And I said to myself, why would you run it through your database again? But more importantly, when did you do that? I ran it through our database again, and I got a hit. And it belongs to somebody. She's like, I got a hit in our database. That's how she answered it. Then when it comes to cross here, okay, so the defense, I don't know if this was a surprise to them. I don't know if they weren't prepared for how she was going to answer this. Okay. But they said, well, who else was working in your lab with you? Because you're not a dude, you're a female, right? So who else was working in your lab with you? Nobody, just me. And defense attorney was like, just you. Okay, like who was cutting your samples? Who would, like, nobody was helping at all process any of it. And then that's where I get the explanation of how they run their lab. And it's no, it's just one person. Well, then why isn't the question asked, okay, so who does the DNA belong to? That was never asked, by the way. But also she's like, well, you're a female and this is male. So if you're the only person that, she's like, well, because the whole database, when I'm saying we're running it against, we're not just running it against people that are in the lab, we're running it against everybody that works for the Indiana. So they're combating each other in this here, in this trial. And I'm just like, why are we beating around the bush? Okay, so the DNA obviously doesn't belong to you because it's male, but yet why did you run it through a second time? You already ran it through and it didn't, and it says, it's not a match. What made you run it through a second time? How is that question not asked? Wouldn't you want to ask somebody what made you run that through against your database again? What made you do it? What made you want to test it against your own database? If you've already tested it against your database and it's not a match. And then also, how much time truly expired between you running it through your database the first time into second time, right? So then she says, because that question was never asked, she just says, well, what happened is whenever this person was hired, whoever this DNA belongs to, whenever this person was hired, the paperwork wasn't filled out properly, meaning like how he did his hiring paperwork, whenever this was, okay, that somehow his DNA was never uploaded to the system. How does she know? First of all, how does she know that? I mean, wouldn't you be asking a ton of questions about this? Okay, wait, who is this person? Were they at the scene? Were they part of the people that were that found the bodies? How is this DNA on this hoodie that the girl wasn't wearing in any of the pictures? Okay, and that will look. The defense is suggesting that the clothing that was on Abby was Libby's, and somebody had to redress her, and so therefore it would be a pretty decent idea that person's DNA could then get on the hoodie if you're redressing somebody, right? Anyways, I could not believe that that the line of questioning was just so ridiculous. Like, why are we sure? This is trial, man. You know? So I couldn't believe it, to the point that people were reporting out there, because remember, there wasn't cameras in this courtroom. People were reporting that it was a lab person's DNA, and it was not a lab person's DNA. It was 100% not a lab person's DNA. That's what actually her testimony. I never said that it was anybody that worked in the lab. I don't have a male assistant. No male did anything to do. I'm the only person that did anything with this. When it got the hits, that's against everybody that works for the Indiana State Police. I said, holy shit. I said, interesting. All right. So I go back to, why did you run it a second time? Now, during this course of this trial case with Idaho4, immediately IgG was used. Now, I go to this courtroom in Indiana, and I sit down, and this woman, so the defense says, well, you have all these hairs, right? And the FBI said to send them all these hairs, right? Because there's new technology that they can do and they can use. And she's like, yeah, but it's such a low percentage. And we made decisions to do things certain ways because we wanted to preserve, if down the road, better. And what she's basically talking about is IgG. I'm just going to come out there and say it, as well as using rootless hair. Okay. The FBI said, send us stuff. We can do stuff. Well, here, Idaho State Police Superintendent Doug Carter kicked the FBI off the case. That comes out in trial because the FBI and the Idaho State Police weren't seeing eye to eye on anything with this case. Okay. So I'm sitting in this courtroom, and I literally, my jaw drops when she says that I have never used, in all the years that I've been doing this, I've never used and would use IgG. I was like this. I look over there at Andrea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Okay? Because it's so unreliable. Okay? So there was a FOIA request done in the Delphi case to see where this money was being spent with the Delphi case. Well, it comes back and it says that $20,000 went to IgG. Okay. And I'm over here like, wait a second. Why isn't the defense saying, wait, you never have used investigative genealogy before? Like in any case that you've ever done? You guys have never went that route. You guys have never, she's like, we don't do that at our lab. Okay. And she starts talking about SNPs, SNPs, and how just like basically she thinks it's all shit. I'm over here like, what am I hearing right now? Like I'm over here like thinking that, okay, I'm missing something. This is not really what she's testifying to. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Well, I'm like, why isn't the defense saying, wait, we have a bill here that says $20,000 was spent on IgG, investigative genetic genealogy. Okay. Because what I believe why that broad retested the DNA against their database is because of IgG. That's my gut. Did that come out in trial? No. But I'm going to explain to you what my thought process was, is that they gave the DNA, that profile from the hoodie, they most certainly gave that to somebody that is involved with genetic genealogy. That's my take on that. Because what else are you working with that you would spend $20,000 on genetic genealogy? Okay. And that's why, so then think about this. They get this name, or they maybe get a couple names. I don't know. We would know more if anybody asked anybody any fucking questions in this case, but don't get me started on that. Okay. I am literally taking notes and I'm like, I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. Because this woman doesn't even think that they implored and used IgG. Okay. So who did it? How would your lab personnel not know anything about this? Right. And here you just have the defense just like poking holes at it versus just coming out and just laying it on them, man. Be like, okay, so it's your opinion, or you think that you guys did not implore investigative genealogy in this case? Well, why would you run it back a second time to your database to see if it was a hit on your people again? What would make you do that? Well, somebody giving you a name and you're like, wait a second. They work for us. She said when she ran it through, though, the second time, check this out, that there was a hit. And I'm like, hello, if your paperwork is already in, right, and you were hired and your DNA just somehow didn't get uploaded properly, right? It didn't get uploaded ever, right? How did it possibly then get uploaded between the time that she would run it against the database again? Because nobody would know that it's not there. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, wait, nobody was pregnant, by the way. Nobody was pregnant in that case. Okay, so listen to this again. We take an unknown male profile and we run it against everybody that works for the Indiana State Police. And it comes back as it's not one of the people that work for us. That's not their DNA. Okay, awesome. Holy shit, we got DNA. We got male DNA. Hell yeah. We have unknown female DNA. Well, too. And so the girls do not have defensive wounds. None. No defensive wounds. So could girls lure, or women lure other females who would think that, okay, it's fine to go with them or hang out, whatever it would have been. But could these two female unknown profiles that are literally at the crime scene on the victims, do you think that those matter? Hell yeah, they matter, right? They matter. So, but we're not going to test any, we're not going to go get any comparison male or female samples to test against our unknowns here that we put through CODIS, and nothing's hitting in CODIS. All right. So getting back to why the hell did you put that male profile through your database again? Why would you ever do that? The answer is like, I mean, And then how much time went through to then when you're like, okay, let me run this through again, right? Why wouldn't you make this hit home with the jury? Okay. And then poof, wait, now we have a match. The only unknown male profile at the crime scene belongs to a freaking Indiana State police officer. But the first time y'all tested it, it didn't hit, but now it does. And you want me to believe, as I'm sitting there in my chair writing this, you want me to believe that there is nothing absolutely wrong with that, with what you're just testifying to right here? You don't, I mean, what? So wait, did this person not work for the Idaho or the Indiana State Police when you tested it the first time? And then when you tested it the second time, is that when they, that they switched? Maybe they were with a different police department? No, his paper, the way that it was, well, you would have wanted to clear all that stuff up so the jury would know. But I'm over here and I'm like, wait a second. What am I listening to right now? I'm listening to the hoodie that was processed the first time because she only took 3 swabs here in this part of the pocket and along the sleeve, where the hands go, she swabbed. But then she takes it again a second time and takes 20 some samples then. It's like, why would you take 3 the first time? Get the fuck out of here. But then the next time you take 20 some samples of this hoodie that's saturated in blood. It's saturated in blood. The back of it. It's a dark hoodie, so you can't see when you have dark colors, you can't see how bloody something is. So I'm just like, okay, wow. But wait, let's go back to this whole IGG thing. Now I want to talk about the Idaho4 case. Wait a second. This woman on the stand is saying, we don't use IGG. It's shit. It's unreliable. And all these things. And I'm just like, oh my God. And she's also like, and it's unreliable what the FBI wants to do when we sent them 70 some pieces of hair. Okay. On her direct examination, when she was testifying, she said the FBI only said that they could work with 3 of those hairs out of the 70 some that we sent. Well, then on cross-examination, she's like, are you sure that the FBI only said they could work with 3 of those hairs? Do you need to see your report to be, refreshed? Sure, let me see my report. Oh, here's my report. I know. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. 36 hairs. So the FBI said that you sent, that they could work with 36 of the hairs, right? And not 3, like you just testified to, right? Did you send the FBI? Did you have them do any work with that? No, we didn't follow up with it. What? I don't have words. I don't have words. So then here we're in Idaho, and I'm like, oh my God. So Idaho, the first thing that they did somehow, before even getting, samples to test against their unknowns, right? They're like, stop, halt, don't work on. We're going to ship this. We're going to have the FBI do the IGG, right? And we're going IGG, right? And and when did that happen? You guys, As far as this lady that testified for the lab for her expertise and her abilities, she said that in all the years that she has been doing her work, there's not one single case that has ever been solved by IGG, and that they have not used it. And I'm like, who is this person testifying? What is going on here? Am I living? What the fuck is going on here? This is what I'm listening to. So to this day, I was in the courtroom, right? To this day, I have no idea whose DNA that belonged to, what Idaho State Police officer's DNA it was, if it was one of the people that was working, because this is the other part of it. When did their DNA get on the hoodie? How? When they were processing the scene, when they had gloves on? When they were processing, how? What DNA? What's going on here? So that brings me back to the Idaho4 case and these unknown male DNAs. Did Idaho test them against their database? And do they need to retest them against their database because maybe they belong to freaking police officers who then we're just going to chalk up to saying, oh, it came from, and then we're just never going to ask any questions about it. My notes from that day, I'm just writing on the page, what the fuck? I'm writing, what the fuck am I listening to right now? I'm like, oh my God, Ann Taylor, you need to call up this woman and you need to tell her that you want to talk to her about what she feels about and how her thoughts on IGG. But $20,000 was spent. I love the guys that represented Rick Allen. I think they're amazing. I think that they're passionate. I don't think they had any support, meaning like you need a support staff. Like when you hear about people taking on high profile cases and all the stuff that has to go into it, especially somebody that's getting railroaded. If you thinking that they're getting railroaded, you need a really, really good team around you. You need organization. You need to be clear and concise. And I was shocked, to say the least, when I heard the verdict when I was in that room. But I knew that verdict was coming back guilty when I saw the jurors walk in and the way that they were. So I just, I'm sorry, but if today we're supposed to be getting suppression motions. But if you don't lay it out, like for third graders, Brian Colbert doesn't stand a chance if you guys think he's being railroaded or have no idea what's up. I just know that his defense team is saying that we have a innocent person here, just like how Richard Allen's defense team was saying that. But there was no DNA of Richard Allen's. You guys, there's no defensive wounds on the two girls, 13 and 14-year-old girls. Okay. I don't know how that's possible. Okay. That one person with a gun and knives was able to go vertically at someone's throat and someone would just let them do that. There's no restraining marks. There's no, there's, Richard Allen's DNA wasn't out there. Now, Brian Kober's DNA wasn't at the crime scene until IgG was explored, right? Immediately. And they never had Brian's DNA, though. They somehow got trash from the house, took that trash, not knowing whose trash it was. And so you're going to get these, we're able to get these profiles. And then we compare those profiles to the profile that we created from the button. Oh, by the way, they couldn't pull any DNA. Like, okay, you guys, there was just so many things that they swabbed, like for skin cells in the Delphi case. Zippers remind me of button snap for the sheath. They couldn't pull anything off of any of the zippers, especially the ones that were on Abby. So you would think that you're pulling somebody's pants up and then it's zipped, not all the way, but it's brass, same thing. And then they're like, well, because somebody had gloves on. And I'm just like, okay, so the killer with the Idaho4 case didn't have gloves on. No, and then the woman was like, no, you guys, touch DNA, guys, is really like, you're gonna have to really handle that stuff. Let me tell you. Then she goes on to about this touch DNA stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to hear all about this because I want to hear about it for the Idaho4 case. I want to hear all about this touch DNA. Let me hear what you have to say, expert. You need to really handle that stuff. Okay. Also, we need to see who's washing people's clothes. Was anybody going and getting their clothes washed at the same place that somebody else would do their laundry? Like she's going she's like, you really need to handle something. You know, this touch DNA, you know, I'm just like, so she's over here also discrediting touch DNA and just how it's just like, eh. I'm just like, dude, Ann Taylor needs to call this woman up because that's who you want testifying for you to talk about how ridiculous IgG is and how ridiculous touch DNA is. Literally. They didn't even test the shoestrings of anything. No. I'm literally in here listening to her talk about touch DNA and that, okay, there was the girls in their like private area. Because they did SA kits on the girls. They also did their fingernails. Like there's nothing, I mean, there's just, I don't understand. None of it makes sense. But like to the point of the timeline of that case, and then I'm talking about the time, then I think about the time of the Idaho4 case, and there's just really weird similarities with stuff. How quick the Idaho4 case, they said that this happened really quick. The Delphi case, this happened really quick, their timeline, but then they're missing 7 crucial minutes of just the phone isn't making any movement, but you need the phone to be moving in order to get to the eventual crime scene. It's wild. It's wild. And I have just no idea how, you know, jurors are sitting in courtrooms and how they think that they can get from A to Z with their brains. And I'm over here telling you that that's impossible. And I think I have a very high quality brain. And I'm just like, how are you guys voting guilty for stuff that you're just all of the stuff that it's just not there? And I just don't understand that. And, you know, and people not understanding false confessions. I mean, guys, why does the Innocence Project exist? I think that people really need to start changing the way that they do their closing arguments. I say people, lawyers, okay? I know that lawyers can be smug, arrogant fucking pricks. It's not too many lawyers out there that I like. But the Innocence Project exists for a reason. It's because how many people confess to crimes that were exonerated how many years later because of DNA? But he confessed to the crime. Yeah, because guess why? Because he was a black African American. He took a deal, confessed to something he didn't do, so that you're looking at, okay, 20 or 30 years because you're going to take this plea deal. And I mean, it's just wild to me. How can you get 12 people to agree on something? I can't even get 12 people that I know that would be friends that when we go on vacation, where are we going to go out to dinner tonight? So I'm going to try to get 12 people. Think about our justice system and how it's set up. I got to get 12 people to basically unanimously say that this person is not guilty, okay? People can say, no, I just need one. No, you need one for a hung jury, which means what? We're going to do this all over again. And we're going to continue to do it over and over and over until you do what? Until you get a conviction. That's wild. Yep, we're all going to hibachi if it's my way. Annie, fucking love her. Okay. You guys, smart people can say, okay, hey, yeah, I mean, it's stupid people can say it. I just, woo. So when I compare the Delphi case to the Idaho4 case, I'm just like, okay, wow. In the Delphi case, they had this video of Bridge Guy that they enhanced and made into some ridiculous, like pixelated shit, right? The guy's mouth, you can't even see him in the background because he's way so far away on that bridge. Yet they enhance it so much so it looks like he's just like up close right where the girls were or something. No, that's just enhanced. The jury was only allowed to watch the bridge, everything that they ever asked for, they can only watch it one time. So you're telling me, think about this. You're telling me that the town of Delphi plus all the surrounding areas got to rewatch over and over and over who, like that Bridge Guy animated crap, right? And not a single person ever came forward and said, I'm going to give a tip, and it's Richard Allen, that dude that works at CVS right down the road. Oh my God, that's totally him. I see him when he's stocking the shelves and the way he's walking or whatever. Okay. Not a single person gave the tip Richard Allen, right? Didn't change his appearance after, didn't do nothing, didn't try to run away, all this stuff, right? All these years, right? Also, go read Reddit. They were talking about a Ford Focus for a very long time. That white van for a very long time, right? Come to find out, you guys, do you guys know that there was only one Ford Focus 2016 black SE model that was assigned, when I say assigned, that was in the database for anybody in that area, and it was Richard Allen? So if that's the case, how could these detectives not know the name Richard Allen way, like, if it's such good quality and if you know it's that, right? Such good quality. Here's your video. And the video's right on the timestamps because we don't even know if that's right. You should have gotten to Richard Allen a hell of a lot earlier, right? There's only 3,000 freaking people in Delphi, Indiana. 3,000 people. and half of them are going to be females. So now we're dealing with 1,500. You can't go through 1,500 people in a database and start eliminating people. Shit, throw out the people that are like, grandpas. Throw out the people that are like, I don't know, 10. We're totally getting down to a very, like, what? So this jury said, okay, they weren't allowed to bring in the sketches that any of these people that said who Bridge Guy was. Those were out. Those were deemed inadmissible. What? We all know that the defense was handicapped lots of different ways. Richard Allen's doctor in the prison, because he was held in a prison in solitary confinement. She was in all these Facebook groups. She was in all these YouTube channels. She's watching Gray Hughes. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That comes out in trial. Then it comes out in trial that there was this white van. And Richard Allen said in one of his confessions about how there was a van and that it interrupted him because he was just planning on, having his way with them sexually. Okay. So let me get this straight. He gets startled and interrupted by a white van, right? But then decides to then take the girls across and up again along this water so that everybody could see them if they were on the bridge, right? And then continue to be with them, right? And then go have a crime scene that's in the woods, continuing to be there in that area. And where somehow he's able to make sure that none of these girls have defensive wounds. He uses knives. He has his gun. I don't know what he's doing with his gun when he has the knives. And that Abby has no blood on her hands. And that's where the blood spatter expert was like, I've never seen you're going to go to grab your wounds. Okay. To try to stop the bleeding. Like Libby did, according to this guy, she grabbed her, to try to stop the bleeding. So, but here, Libby's all the way naked. Abby is dressed in Libby's clothes. And this is all supposed to happen in how long? Like what? And one person, but then Abby has no blood on her anywhere. Her hands, nothing. She is pristine. How is this possible? How's that possible? The answer is it's possible if there's more than one person, in my opinion. One person? Not to leave any of your DNA at the scene, but there's all this other DNA there, and it's just we just couldn't get. She's like, we have these samples, but they're partials, and we can't get full. And I'm just like, so you couldn't get any full profiles except for the ones that you got, right? Okay, but then some of the stuff had a mixture of up to like 4 or 5 different people. I'm like, how is you're getting your stuff's coming back that there's mixtures with 4 or 5 different profiles, but you can't separate them, so you don't know who they belong to. And it's like, is anybody listening to this? And then the jury got to ask questions. Hey, I have a question. So are you saying that they're in this swab right over here where all this blood is? You're telling me that you have 4 or 5 different profiles, but you can't get a full one? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that means like yes. Thank you so much there. Is that Karen? Woohoo, Aaron. GH is to Delphi, as Plevin is to Karen Reed, as to Blank is to BK. Everyone should learn from the wall. Yeah. 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 I worry about, yeah. I worry about justice, the truth coming out. Karen, thank you so much. 20 gifted memberships. If you guys turn green, make sure you guys are thinking Karen. Karen just boop, boop. Where's my bell? There you go, Karen. There you go, Aaron. Karen and Aaron. Sorry, guys. So I'm over here and I'm just like, well, there's no way this verdict's coming back anything but. I mean, if it's going to be hung, that means people aren't getting off of the whole, like, there's going to be a couple holdouts for guilty, but the majority's got to be, like, there's all this reasonable doubt. Comes back guilty. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, well, for the past, so this is the 4 days, over spanning 4 days, I said, people were in the camp of not guilty and they changed their not guilty and went guilty versus just saying, I'm not changing. And so it's going to be a hung jury, right? You guys, there's this is everything that was presented here. There is no way that I can say that this man is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. Like, we're missing half of the investigation because they're claiming that they recorded over things. We don't even have the family's interviews. We don't even have who's ever been interviewed for the first 3 months. Then you want me to say these confessions? Yeah, it was after he was arrested and incarcerated. How? Like, and I watch these videos. Do I think that those are voluntary? There's no way that I would think that number 6 thought that. So I'm over here just watching this. And I'm like, wow. And then I look at juror 6 because I just knew he was a not guilty. And I was like, oh my God, where are his glasses? He always has his glasses on. He's never been in that courtroom without his glasses. His glasses are nowhere to be found. He looked disheveled. I'm like, wait, what is going on here? Then the juror behind him, because he's 6, juror 12, when they're asked to then leave, because this was so quick, when they're asked to leave, juror 12 turns around, grabs a book bag that's like a leather book bag, puts it on his back, grabs his Yeti tumbler, and I'm like, what the fuck does he have that shit? You can't have that stuff. Where he has a book bag. I'm over here just like, I've just never. So comparing Idaho4 to Delphi, there's the only thing of Brian Kober's is this touch DNA, right? Right. But then here for the Delphi case, people are like, Lana, he says he went to the trails that day. He puts himself there. I'm like, so does like 30 other people. And imagine the people that didn't come forward. Okay. So think about this. Wait, what do you mean? Yeah. He went there like the police were asking. Like the police were asking, right? He went there all those years late, a couple days after, goes to the police department. He doesn't see somebody at some grocery store like they were trying to push with mainstream media. That's not what happened. Richard Allen went to the police department, walks in there. Hi, I was at the trails on the day. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk to somebody, but you guys were asking for people to come forward. So Okay. What's your name and number? I'll have somebody call you. We'll have somebody call you. Then Richard Allen leaves. And I'm like, wait, why? Wouldn't she be like, please take a seat. I'll have one of the detectives come and get you that are working the case. That's like unified command, the 4 people. Up, Karen did it again. Woo! Green, green for everybody. Look at Karen go. Karen. 30 people turning green. Jen's been a member for 20 months. Vanna, you're the best. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you. You guys are the best too. So the police department, okay, takes down his name. Now, clearly you took his, how'd you take his name down? You take his name down as Richard Allen, right? Okay. Then he leaves. Okay. So think about this. Remember Idaho4? Hey, we want you to come forward. Bring us your, if you got ring camera footage from this time to this time, right? If you're driving this type of a car, okay, we want you to come forward. He gets a phone call. Richard gets a phone call. And it is nobody that's part of the, it's Dan Doolin, okay, who media loves to always misspell people's names, but I'm telling you guys, I don't think it's that they misspell it on purpose anymore. After dealing with mainstream media for what I dealt with Delphi, no, they just don't listen. And instead of just asking somebody like go and getting like, oh no, we'll just put Dublin. Dan Dublin was his name for a while there. Go check it out. Go write Dan Dublin out, Delphi. You'll see what happens. But this guy, Dan, who's a conservationist, I don't know what the hell he does for the forest rangers. Who the fuck knows? He calls up Richard Allen. Hey, I got your name. You said you're out there at the bridge. Can you meet? Oh, well, I'm heading to the grocery store right now. Okay, that's fine. I'll just come there. What? Okay, going to the grocery. That's right. How about, can you come in tomorrow? I'll just come to the grocery store. Why? And then I thought to myself, well, they want to know what these people have to say first. We can't get this shit on record. Okay, but let's see what he knows first. Let's see if he's going to say something that's going to fuck with what we. So think about this. This is Richard Allen. So Richard Allen goes to the grocery store. This guy, Dan Doolin, he was told by command, here, yep, go to the grocery store, go talk to him. Doesn't record anything, okay? So the reason they have this conversation at the grocery store, even though Richard Allen went to the police department, is because they didn't say, hey, can you just sit right there? We're going to, like, someone will come out right in a second and we'll give you a, here's a piece of paper to write down your witness statements, whatever, and then we'll have somebody talk to you. Okay. That's not what happened at all. No, what happened is, oh, got your name. Okay, we'll have somebody call you. This isn't a little small town. There's not like hustle and bustle, man. 3,000 people live in Delphi, okay? How many people were coming forward to say they were at the bridge? They were at the trails, okay? So then I'm comparing this to like Idaho4. Idaho4 lets us know, though, about the white Honda Elantra. Delphi never let us know, like, hey, we're looking for the police just came out and said, no, we want to show you these fucking sketches. Let's show you these sketches. We don't want to talk about no cars, but Idaho4, we want to know about cars. Okay. We want everybody to come forward in the Idaho4 case and give us your ring camera footage, but only for a certain period of time. Okay. Even though the bodies weren't found until noon, why wouldn't you ask for stuff from, 24 hours? Because at the time, you don't know, right? So Richard Allen talks to this guy. This guy doesn't record anything, Dan. He writes whatever down, okay? And then he makes up some report. Now, so there's no way for us to tell when you're going to say that, oh, well, Richard Allen said that he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. I can say, no, I didn't say that. That's just what his report says, because guess what reports are? Reports are hearsay. And this is a very good lesson as to why this shit is hearsay. It is hearsay. It's an out of court statement, right? That this asshole wrote a report, but I didn't say that. And I never got to see the report, right? To say, hey, you have this wrong. I never said that I was there from this time to this time, right? How many people you guys say, oh, can I get a copy of that report? Like, what are you writing? How many people say that to a cop ever? I want to make sure that you got this right. Since, are you recording this? Like, how do I know that this isn't going to get fucked up down the road? Because it does get fucked up down the road. Well, as far as Richard Allen's concerned, because he's like, no, I said that I was there. I would have been there like at 12:30. And he's like, it was a short walk. I wasn't there that long. This is where people say he gave inconsistent statements. I'm like, first of all, he didn't give inconsistent statements ever, because you can't use Dan and his little report because there's no proof that that's what Richard Allen said. It's what Dan wrote up. And Dan wrote up and said his last name was, I don't even know. They put his Whitehead, or they put his street name down as his name. Wild shit. That should just tell you how much that motherfucker was paying attention, that you thought my name, my surname, was Whitehead or whatever road he lived on. Richard Whitehead. Whiteman. Whatever. Who gives a shit? You clearly weren't listening. And when you typed up your report, and that's how this got all completely misfiled. But not only did it supposed to get misfiled, they said that they cleared him, because guess what they did with him when they met over at the grocery store? He gave them his phone. Here's my phone. The guy takes his phone apart, writes down the MEI number, right? Puts his phone back together, gives it back to Richard Allen. Well, what did you do? What was the point of getting that number? Did you go take it? Did you run it through something? I mean, what the fuck? Okay. Richard Allen was never heard from again. He gave him his phone. They write it down. And it was cleared, though, at some point then, too. It was cleared. So the question is how did you clear him? You know, who cleared him? So the jury is listening to this. And how is the jury just like, yes, it's really fucked up? Because then what happens is then, this is in 2017, 5 years later, in 2022, when Richard Allen is talked to and they bring him in because, oh, hey, this woman who's a volunteer for us, Kathy Shank, she happened to find your name, realized that it was filed wrong, which, please tell me how that happened. Kathy, tell me how you found out that Richard Whiteman wasn't really Richard Whiteman. I mean, did you Google it and you're just like, wait, this doesn't seem right, or somebody got this wrong? Because Kathy, you should get the $300,000 reward. Hopefully they give you that money, girl, right? Where's the $300,000 reward? Where's that money at? Who do you think should get that money? I think Richard Allen should get it. He was the tip. He was his own tip. He's the one that went there, right? Richard Allen should get the money. He went there and said, you know, and you're going to sit here and tell me that a guilty person who committed this heinous crime is going to go give his name up, knowing that nobody even knew he was there that day? And there's people out there that are saying, well, yeah, Alana, he would. And I'm sorry, but why? It's why? Why would he do such a thing? You think he was trying to what? Insert himself in the investigation? Well, that doesn't make sense because he never went back to say, "Hey, I never heard from you guys." Or, "Hey, I thought of something else." No. He gave his phone over. I'm just like, wow. Okay. So Richard Allen puts himself there. This is what the jury. Hey guys, we know that he's there because he said he was there. Well, but he said he was there earlier. Okay. It was the report of the guy. All right. That says that when that was and yada, yada, yada. He denied it 25 times during an interrogation. Didn't get hot. All he said was, whoa, I feel like you guys, we watched Dateline. Like, I'm not going to be somebody's fall guy. You guys need to try to get this closed all these years. I mean, I'm not going to be somebody's fall guy here. I watched Dateline and I'm just thinking, dude, all of us would have said that. I do watch Dateline. I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely humanly disgusted. Because you could be so polite about things to say, I appreciate our deliberating efforts here, guys, but we don't even know. We have the ME that came in and the ME says, I can't give you a time of death about 40 hours before I got the bodies. What? That's way before 3. ME's saying, yeah, could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different knives. Could be a box cutter, though. Out of the blue, box cutter. Are you kidding me? You never put this in your report ever that it was a box cutter. When did you talk to the prosecution? Oh, yeah, a couple weeks ago. I told them, we talked. I just had an epiphany when I walked into my garage and I just saw a box cutter in my garage over there. This is what he's testifying to. And it just made me think about the case. 7 years later, you just happen to see a box cutter in your garage? Oh, are you sure that it didn't have anything to do with that's one of Richard Allen's allegedly confessions? And then here's the defense saying, well, if you ever changed your opinion of it, we deposed you just not too long ago, right? And you didn't say anything about a box cutter. Now all of a sudden you're talking about a box cutter? Why didn't you bring this to our attention? Why didn't you say? And it was like, did you talk to the prosecution? Yes, I talked to the prosecution. Do you guys know that not one person was asked the question in that room? Do you see the bridge guy in this room? Do you think that the defense made it a point to say that in their closing? No. I'm over here like, what the fuck is going on? I'm just disgusted. I have no idea what transpired in that jury deliberating room. But all I know is that there were people that 100% were saying that this was not guilty by 100% reasonable doubt, or lack of evidence, or whatever they want to say, but they were definitely not guilties. And then now, instead of it being a hung jury, these guiltiers were able to get the not guilty votes to switch. And I want to know how that happened. America should want to know how that happened. Because then we come to the Idaho4 case, and I'm just like, okay, Brian doesn't put himself there. There's no DNA there that was except for this touch DNA on a placed sheath that doesn't have any blood on it. No other, we have other unknown male DNA in that house that Idaho State Police doesn't give a fuck about, which now I'm really concerned about. Let's see. We have a white vehicle We didn't care about the white vehicle, though, until after the IGG came back to that it hit on Brian Koberger. Because what came first, the car or the name Brian Koberger, the tip? Indiana thinks IGG is shit. Idaho State Police go right to IGG. So, wow. Now, granted, it's a 2022 case, but even this woman was saying she wouldn't use IGG right now. It doesn't matter. She wouldn't use it. Now listen to this. The crime scene was staged. Whether it was staged to make it seem like it was something it wasn't, or whether it was staged to make it seem like something that it really truly was. We're getting into ritualistic things. And one of the experts for the defense is a very, very highly decorated expert in staging of crime scenes. But it's like, I don't care what the fuck is in evidence anymore. I don't care what's in discovery anymore. I'm looking at 12 people, and there is no way in hell that I want 12 people to decide my fate. You're not going to be able to get 12 people to agree to go not guilty. Karen Reed, what happened in that case? I mean, Jesus. No, there's not a single witness that saw John O'Keefe laying on the lawn when they left. 12 people. Well, he has to be laying there if Karen Reed did it. So the prosecution's own witnesses. So basically the victim is missing from 12:30 a.m. until 6:04 a.m. when 911 was called. The state can't place him anywhere. The state doesn't have a witness that places him anywhere. But they have his phone. And they're saying based on his phone, there was no movement. Okay, great. Well, but God forbid if we use the phone for something else. Oh, it's not accurate. Get the fuck out of here. I'm so sick of hearing that. I'm so tired of that. Okay. You can't have it both ways. And Libby, Abby, the Idaho4, all these victims are getting screwed. Because law enforcement cares more about their jobs and then moving up in ranks or getting, a promotion and shit. Prosecutors care more about their win-loss record. It's disgusting. And then here, we the people have the power by being jurors, right? We're continuing to let this shit happen. Because we the jurors, I don't know what the hell happens when we sit in the well, and then I have no idea what's happening when we're going back behind closed doors and deliberating, but we just become idiots. We just become absolute fucking morons. And I want to know why. I think there needs to be a black box that goes into the jury deliberating rooms, and that shit 100% should be recorded. It's kind of like keyboard warring. Like, no, you get to be anonymous. Okay, sure, awesome. All right, but the moment that there's an inkling of somebody coming forward, or there's a case that involves fuckerage and somebody whistle blows on that, all right, how can we then prove if that happened or not? Go put that stuff needs to be recorded. Not that it goes out to the public, but it is 2000, okay, and 24. It is not the 1800s anymore. It's not the 1900s anymore. All right. If the NFL is using instant replay, all right, to make sure that people get it right, why can't our jurors use audio to listen to somebody's testimony? If we're in the deliberating room and your notes say something and my notes say something different, and then we're all going back and forth on what this person said, why should we not know what the person said? Are we out of our minds? These rules can change. Why can't they? Why can't they change? Where does it say in the world that we can't change the way that our juries hear stuff? It's 2024. Give me a fucking break. That's it. And then you know what? Start being hung. Start hanging all these jurors. That's how we can boycott. It's going to be a hung jury. Because the moment that I don't know what somebody said, you want me to vote guilty? What? Sorry, no. I'm going to tell you that, nope. This trial was very, very long. I took my notes. I'm comparing them with their notes. They think this is what was said by that person. This is what I think what was said by that person. Okay? And you want me to convict off of what? It's like copying off of a paper of an idiot. You want me to go off of what they said in their notes? No, I'm good. Or just because that person thinks that they have a more prestigious job than I have, that makes you, hey, I'm a better foreman, or I'm a better juror. Why? Oh, because I'm a doctor. No, then you're a fucking idiot. Okay, because you don't have common sense. You're book smart. Get out of here. You can pass the test. That's how I feel about doctors. Oh, Lana, that's wild. Well, if they're going to talk down about me, why would I tell them that they don't think they have any street smarts? I don't think people should be comparing in a juror room what they do for a living. I don't think that they should be comparing anything like that makes them more capable than somebody else. All right. You need really good fucking listeners. And then you need people that can, in that room, be honest with themselves to say, listen, if all of what everybody is saying here is possible, then this is reasonable doubt. But you guys, the evidence isn't mattering anymore. The reasonable doubt doesn't matter anymore. These Karen Reed, Delphi, go give me a case where, and I'm going to talk about one case. And I want to talk about Kyle. He took the stand. You guys remember his trial? You know, they tell you when the judge tells you that when someone's testifying, you're supposed to believe what they're saying. Yes. He testified. Jury came back with what? Not guilty, right? Do you think it helped him that he testified? Well, clearly it didn't hurt him because he got, it's not guilty, right? But he testified. What if he doesn't testify? Now you look at Richard Allen's case. I was there for jury selection. All of those people, all those jurors wanted Richard Allen to testify and say that he didn't do it. They wanted to hear, I'd be screaming it from the rooftops. I didn't do it. Well, he was screaming it in his interrogations or in his interviews. But then let's be honest with ourselves, jurors, people like you and me. Okay. What? So I get up on that stand, right? And what? So the prosecution can try to twist my words around. You have to have a really good lawyer. Okay. And yeah, you should be prepped to get on that stand. You should be aware of, hey, this is what they're going to be saying, and this is how they're going to say it. They're going to try to get you to be triggered. Okay. But so it's coming down to like, our jurors are being asked, well, you can't use it against the person, okay, if they don't testify. Can you guys follow those instructions? That's the rules. When our judge says that, are you going to be able to do that? And do you know that people sat there and said no, that they couldn't? That's the law. That's the rules. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right not to say a word, because guess what? It's on them to prove this all, right? But you can't use it against me that I don't get up there and testify. During the Delphi jury deliberations, or not, but during the jury selection, I sat there and I'm listening to these people say, no, I don't think that I could do that. I think that I would hold it against that person if they didn't testify. And people that answered that question that way were on that jury. What? So you're sitting here saying that you're not going to be able to follow court order? Swear to God. People were on that jury 100% that said that they don't think that they would be able to. Also, people were on that jury that already had an opinion, but they thought that they could put their opinion aside to hear the evidence. You could tell who the defense wanted on. You could tell who the prosecution wanted on. There's people on that jury that family members were police officers. Well, I'm sorry, but the defense kept saying they were going to be highly critical of the police. I didn't see anything of the sort. You want to talk about highly critical of the police? Definitely you didn't get it out of the Delphi trial. I didn't see them going at them. Because I would have recalled whose ever DNA was at the scene and asked them how their DNA was at the scene. Aren't you supposed to be, I don't know, wearing gloves? I mean, what were you doing touching what were you doing? Wild. I'm saying that after being there and I go and hear back into the, talk about Idaho4, and I'm like, fuck, man. Very important day here if you want the truth to come out. And Brian Colbert, the only way they got his DNA to actually test it against that sheath, okay, they did not get his DNA until after he was arrested. Okay. How was he arrested, though? He was arrested off of search warrants that came from the lies of people that put the cast-all information saying that the car and the phone were traveling in this pattern, and that's where it went, and that's part of. Guys, look at the PCA. See what's in there. So should how do you even take that out? Well, that means that the sheath it's not in the trial. Because the only way that you got his DNA was from an illegal search warrant. That's what Ann Taylor is going to have to oral argue and put it so masterfully written. And they're going to have a suppression hearing because they're going to be trying to suppress. Because that's what the jury's going to go back into that room, just like they did in Delphi and every other. All right, guys, this is what we have. Richard Allen didn't know the girls. Richard Allen didn't know the families. Brian Colbert doesn't know the families. Brian Colbert doesn't know the girls or Ethan, right? So basically, Richard Allen went to his mom's and ate lunch went to his mom's that morning, didn't want to go and do the whole lunch thing, decides that he's going to leave his mom's, drive, go home, grab a jacket, and go out and snatch up 2 girls to fucking murder and go home. Right? During the middle of the day, when school is out, and walk along the trail to be seen by people, not going some, inconspicuous way to hide in the middle of like, this wooded area so nobody can see me and lying in wait, right? I'm just gonna whoop right down. Same thing with Idaho4 case. I'm gonna loop around this house not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. And I'm gonna leave witnesses. You know what the interesting thing was with the Richard Allen case is that, the motive here. What was Richard Allen's motive? He's never gotten in trouble his whole entire life. He was 50. He just wanted to have his way with them sexually. Not one girl, but he's like, let me just take these two people together. And let me leave the cell phone that I know that's there. Oh, and that's the other thing, guys, is that the cell phone somebody plugged in at 5:45, plugged in a headphone jack, hard wire, and then unplugged it at 10:40 or 10:32 p.m. That means like human hands would have to plug in and pull out. What goes in goes out, right? Also, there's 4 flights of stairs there's an elevation at 232 with the phone, so it's not like it's going down, it's going up. The reason I know that is back then, that's how Apple did their shit. So that means the phone was going up at 232, which where could they have gone up? Like they're down in a bowl. I mean, all of this shit. And then I just think about the Idaho4 case when you're going to show that, I'm telling you that these witnesses, surviving roommates, were on their cell phones during. It's going to show that on when you're putting together this timeline. It's going to show that they're using their phones, they're using apps, and then in the morning, and just nobody calls 911 until 12. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because jurors aren't doing their jobs. Jurors aren't following the jury instructions. And they can say, well, Lana, what's reasonable for one person might not be reasonable for another person. And it's like, I don't care. I'm talking about 12 people. You know how hard it is to get me? In order for you to be not guilty and walk out of that courtroom, I have to get 12 people to say that. One just makes it a hung jury, right? And we got to do this all over again. And they're going to keep on doing it until they get the result that they want. Like, think about that as far as like a justice system. So wait, they just get to keep retrying me until they get what? Guilty. You want to talk about odds? Those aren't very favorable odds. You want to talk about why people do plea deals? I don't think you should be able to be tried more than once. I think that you should be like, there has to be, if it comes down to a hung jury, okay. But like if there's happenings during the trial that would make it like a mistrial that way, but a hung jury, I think that at max you should have one more go at it, but after that it's off the table. I don't think that you should be able to just keep retrying people. But it's just when you, and then when you look at the victims, and I'm like, justice isn't getting an arrest and a conviction if it's the wrong person. And so that's not fair for them. And so all this evidence, I just feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to these 12 people. There's just no way that in that courtroom, the evidence that was admissible. Thank God Karen Reed's out on bail. Otherwise, she'd be sitting there, you know, in jail too. Like, you were innocent until proven guilty. And I just don't think jurors are doing that. Jurors think that, you know, all right, well, hey, but it's your job to defend. That's your client. You have to defend them. Like, those are the answers to questions that I was hearing for the jury selection. Because Rosie said, what if I do nothing? What if the state puts on their case and then they arrest and we don't do anything? What would you think? You know what my answer to that be? I'd raise my hand and I would say, well, if you ask for a directed verdict there and they came back and said, nope, that they've met these burdens, then I would think there is something wrong if you're not going to get up. But it is not your burden to prove this case. Okay? It's the state's burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I believe when the state rested, that they didn't. And I thought that when the defense put on, she was really so solid. Who was Richard Allen's?
You're talking about Dr. Westcott?
Yeah, Dr. Westcott was awesome. She sealed it. She sealed the not guilty for me. Because if people can't get around the false or the confessions, I'm just like, are you listening to what this woman is saying? If we have to get confessions out of people by putting them in cages and pumping them with drugs or keeping their drugs out of their system that they need for their mental health until they're fucking, I don't know, eating their shit and putting it on the walls and taking their head and just pounding it until it's completely black. If people think that you can fake that, who are you to even say that someone's faking that? Who do you think you are as a juror to say that? I would never be able to go back in that room and be like, I think he was faking it and therefore guilty. I would look at you and say, you're a complete fucking moron. I would say, I don't know if he's faking it or not. Okay. I don't know. None of us know for sure, but I will tell you this, that is not what you do and hold and how you detain somebody and hold them in safekeeping until they have their trial. That they are violating his rights, in my opinion. Okay? So I don't know if he's faking it or not, but there's no way in hell that I'm giving weight that if you or I or anybody in this room was in that situation, that is voluntary. Get the fuck out of here. Unbelievable. I would say, you guys listen to his interviews. He kept saying he didn't do this. Oh my gosh, no. Like, that is not, how could that bullet, what do you mean you're matching it to my gun? No way. I would tell you no way. I would tell you that there's something wrong. That's what he's saying. And he kept saying, he's like, I'm not trying to take away like your guys' integrity or anything like that. There's something wrong. I do believe in science, he was saying. I do believe in science. He's like, no, I'm not going to tell you that I did something that I didn't do. He kept saying it over and over and over. I'm not going to tell you I did something I didn't do. There's no way that bullet matches my gun. Like, I'm just like, he's not getting loud. He just looked like a dad in there. And then what he looks like now, it's like, hello. He looks like, oh my God. So I can't believe a mainstream media comes out and says that the juries really gave a lot of weight to those confessions. Well, then the jurors are a bunch of fucking idiots, all right? That's all I got to say. Because none of the confessions, they weren't even confessions. They were like, oh, I killed the girls. Oh, I killed Abby Libby. He was saying he said he started World War III. He said he killed his whole fucking family. He said he molested his sister, his daughter, he said he shot. That was their thing. Because none of us knew how the girls were killed. He's thinking when he's being talked to in 2022 and being interrogated, he's thinking that they were killed with a gun. He's like, there's no way my gun killed them girls. Because remember, we didn't know that was kept under wraps. That's how much he doesn't know shit about shit. So you just look at and it's just ooh. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore. I just feel like it doesn't matter what's being said in courtrooms anymore. Like these juries aren't listening. Juries don't. I mean, these defense attorneys have to start changing the way that they are defending high-profile cases. I'm sorry. This has to change. Okay. You have to start treating the jurors like they are 3. And if you cannot articulate and explain things and use a timeline and have a visual aid to aid these jurors so they take that hardcore, it's like hard evidence that they think is hard evidence to the jury deliberating room and show like, here, what part of this timeline do you think that like someone's going to testify to it? How is it wrong? How did the state come back and try to blow up our timeline? The questions that those jurors were asking is telling me that they need, if you're going to hire an expert, you better have them have some type of a report. If you're going to, anybody that takes that stand, you want them to be remembered, okay, by more than just the notes that they write on their piece of paper that say, okay, witness number 4 for the defense is Cheryl Miller. Cheryl talked about blah, blah, blah. You guys, me, Andrea, Bella, whoever, Julie, Lawyer Lee, the way that we're taking notes, okay, we're literally writing everything down that everything's being said. The way that the jury was taking notes is like this. Listening. Okay, would write something down, right? You know. Now, mind you, they were getting pieces of paper. Like, here's this person's CV. Okay. So you have their CV. So we don't have to write down everything, like they have it right there. But that CV is just to basically say, like, this is what. So all of the beginning stuff that anyone's testifying to. Okay. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes here. And whatever you think, but they're writing. Okay. They're writing. Okay. You know, I couldn't even tell you how many legal pads. I would love for Andrea to count how many legal pads she went through, how many pens she went through. So I don't know how you could be back in a deliberating room and saying, you know, hey guys, how do you want to deliberate this? I don't want to know if anybody thinks anybody's innocent or guilty right now. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think the way to do it is to, can we sort out the facts from not the facts of the case? Like, and let's start by the state. What did the state prove to us? What we just listened to the state. So what's the state's theory of the case? I want to know what all y'all think that truly went on here. What's the theory of the case? And then, okay, this is what they said happened. Now, did they prove that? So their big thing was bridge guy is Richard Allen. Bridge guy abducted the girls. And then bridge guy killed the girls and then left there in his vehicle. And this all happened between 1:30 and 4. 1:30 and 3:30, something like that. Okay, well then let's start at 1:30. Were the girls there at 1:30? Well, no, according to testimony here, Lana, the girls didn't get there until 1. Well, they were still taking selfies in the car until 1:44. So, you know, like 1:45, maybe they're out of the car. Oh, because Kelsey's car is seen on the on that camera leaving at 1:49. So, okay. What time was that abduction at? Well, the video's at 2:13, Lana. Okay, so 1:45 to 2:13. How many people were out on that trail well before that? Also, he said that he got there, you know, was there at 1:30. So he then waited 45 minutes to take those 2 girls. Okay. And then, but the girls were taken within 1:45 to 2:13 is, okay. That's a very small window, don't you guys think? It's a very small window. Those girls were taken almost immediately when they would have gotten there, based on this timeline, right? Yeah, it's a really small window. Huh. Richard Allen didn't know if they were going to be out there that day, right? So this would be a crime of opportunity then, right? He just happened to see them and, well, looks like this is a good time to get my first double kill in. And, well, I wasn't really planning on killing them. Well, maybe I was because I was going to rape them and then kill them. Okay. You know, like, so. And then you're going to have people in there, oh my God, come on, it's him. Look at that bridge guy. Look at him. And blah, blah, blah. Did you see what he looks like? Like, he killed these kids. I can't believe it. It's so gross. Did you see those pictures? Okay. And then I would make a note like juror fucking 3 is crazy. Okay. Can you just imagine what those jurors are talking about back there? But I wouldn't go back in there like, who thinks he's guilty? Who thinks he's innocent? I'd be like, that's not our, wait, hold on. I could vote not guilty and still think he is, I would have to vote not guilty, but I could still, my opinion would be that he's guilty, but the state didn't prove it. That's a possibility. It's a possibility that he did it, but what they showed me, there's no way it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So then I look at the Idaho4 case and I'm just like, okay, everybody was up in that house. We have video of kids just walking from the house. We have multiple cars circling around there. And just kind of like, you know, yeah, the roommates didn't hear anything. Well, he walked right past one. Oh, yeah, and just didn't kill her. Had no problem killing 4 people. I was too tired to kill that 5th one. You're going to leave a witness. But can you imagine these, what people are going to be talking about? Like, and then what's the, like, Brian was an upcoming, he wanted to be a serial killer. Okay. So I'm going to travel across the country to do that after I get into my PhD program. Okay. I mean, that's what, hey, he's going to be a serial killer. Do you think BK is innocent too? Who says anything about being innocent? I'm not talking about innocence or guilt. I'm talking about jurors. I'm talking about jurors. I'm talking about the law. I'm talking about the criminal justice system. I'm talking about cases. Do you think Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty or innocent? He testified, found not guilty, because jurors want you to testify. Jurors want to hear you say that you didn't do it. How do you know that, Lana? Because they fucking told us. They told the defense and they told the state when they were in jury selection at Delphi, if Richard Allen doesn't take the stand, if my client here doesn't take the stand, are you going to hold that against him? Yes. Those are the answers that we got in jury selection. Yes. Wait, what? Well, even if the judge instructs you that you can't take that negative, I don't know if I can get past that. I think that I would still hold that against him. Even if the judge tells you that you can't. I mean, I guess I could try, but yep. You're on the jury. Okay. There wasn't just one person that was like that saying that. People believe that when you are innocent, okay, how do you not scream that from the tops of your lungs and from the tops of the stairs? And then they were asked, well, how about let's talk about some reasons that you might not testify and say that. Like, what would you guys think of? Like, is there any reason that you don't think that somebody would? And I'm like waiting for someone to say, because you don't have to, if the state doesn't prove their case, like they have to prove that this man did it. So whether or not he opens up his mouth at all, I don't give a fuck what he has to say. It's the state that has to prove their case. And if I believe that the state has proven their case at that point when they are arresting, then, and that's why you want to ask for that. I would just say, like, I don't believe that they've, okay, well, yeah, they have. So go ahead and continue on. But okay. But to me, that's how you would be answering that question. Like, no, your client doesn't have, no, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say a word. But if the state is proving these elements, okay, and then putting your client there, or is it circumstantial? What parts are circumstantial? How could stuff be explained a different way? Because everybody can put a spin to it, right? But when you're hearing jurors say that they're being instructed, hey, if they don't take the stand, you can't look at that as a negative, all right? You also, if you think that, it's possible that they did it, it's possible they did it, okay, it's possible, then you have to go not guilty because this is beyond a reasonable doubt. There's not a possibility that he did it. Yeah, it's possible. Even if you say it's probable that he did it, he probably did it. This is how Gall said it. If you say that he probably did it, then that would be reasons to then be saying not guilty. Because probably, Richard Allen probably did it. That is not beyond a reasonable doubt. So explain to me how the world saw the Bridge Guy video over and over and over. In these sketches, right? We even fucking take the sketches out because the sketches weren't in the trial. The video. They got to see the video. They only got to see it one extra time. That's it, which is weird. But the enhanced video, who nobody in Delphi ever came forward and said it's Richard Allen. Here, the jurors, seeing it one time, said that's beyond a reasonable doubt that that's Richard Allen. That's what they said to themselves. I'm telling you. And I think that that's crazy. Because there is no way in hell, beyond a reasonable doubt, that you could say that that enhanced video is fucking Richard Allen. And that's the state's case. The state's case is that Bridge Guy is Richard Allen. Bridge Guy abducted the girls, took the girl, got interrupted because a white van came home that they just implemented into their story just right before trial. And even like kind of in trial. It's wild. And that then took them to the crime scene location and then didn't do anything with any of them sexually. But that was his purpose, but didn't do anything sexually to any of them. And then he had his gun and he has these knives and somehow no defensive wounds and he kills both of them and doing vertical lines here on the one and then the other one, going this way. And then, because he was so interrupted and he was scared that, he then decides to move bodies. One of them's naked. The other one has no blood on her hands at all. No restraints on either one. And then starts putting limbs from the branches over their limbs. For what? I need to get the fuck up out of there, right? Why? What the fuck am I doing? I'm going to start touching everything? Then, come to find out, my DNA is nowhere to be found at the crime scene. But a cop's is. Who didn't make it through the first time it was processed, didn't hit anything. Then they processed the unknown male again through their own Indiana State Police database, and then it gets a hit. You got to be fucking kidding me. But the first time it went through, it didn't get a hit. How is that possible? And then she says, well, because somebody's paperwork wasn't filled out right, and so their DNA wasn't uploaded. So then when did somebody figure out that person's paperwork wasn't filled out right so that it was properly uploaded right before you did your second, swipe through the database? How did that happen? These closing arguments need to change. Defense strategies need to change because of our jurors. Not because these people are horrible defense attorneys or they don't know the law. It's because of what these jurors are doing. And they're not applying any of this shit. They're taking their jury instructions and literally ripping them up and pissing on them. Because if anybody's using the jury instructions, Karen Reed, innocent, not guilty. By reasonable doubt, easy across the board. The easiest fucking one. This case, Delphi case. Holy shit. We have unknown DNA at the crime scene on the bodies, a female, and then one belongs then, now we figured, to a police officer, somebody that belongs to the Indiana State Police, and then a family member's. One girl has no blood on her hands, but yet her throat's cut. The other one, throat's cut, and she has blood because she's trying to stop the bleeding. No restraints. The phone data is missing. We have the phone being operated by human hands because there's no other way to, unless you just want to make up a reason why, and that's what you would have to do, that all of a sudden the phone just started malfunctioning at 5:45 and then again at 10:32. And then again, the phone started malfunctioning at 4:32 when all of these text messages came in. Or is it possible that this phone was being walked around and turned off, turned on, shit like that? And the answer is yes. Okay? Fucking yes. And however you can go back into a fucking room and try to talk yourselves into this crazy ass bullshit is beyond me. But I'm so sick and tired of seeing it. And if people are not going to spend a shit ton of money to start really asking good ass jury questions for your jury selection because none of your evidence matters. Those 12 people and those people that are sitting waiting in the wings in case somebody fucks up to go be an alternate and now you're in. Nothing else matters. That's my opinion. Why? Because I've seen it. I witnessed it. Firsthand. Witnessed it. It's disgusting. And here, we the people have all the power. I'm sorry, but when an investigation, stop bailing out people that aren't doing their jobs, jurors, please. They're not doing their jobs, okay? You're told to set aside, you do not do a verdict because of how you feel sorry for the victims' families. You do not do a verdict because if you feel some type of way for the person that's on trial's family, okay? We, the people, still have the fucking power, and it's when we are jurors. So stop giving it away. Stop giving our power to bailing these investigators the fuck out of situations. Stop fucking doing it. It's incompetence. You don't get to delete or have somehow 3 months worth of deleted shit. Oh, we lost all these interviews. Well, then you ain't fucking prosecuting a damn person. And go tell the families that. And go tell them how fucking shitty you did. You did it. Go own your mistakes. That's the truth of Delphi. Go own your mistakes to those families. Karen Reed's case. Bunch of fucking cheaters over there. I hope they all go to prison. Massachusetts State Police, punks. Punks. Somebody needs to write a book. Somebody needs to write a jury book. And remind the United States of American citizens that if you don't like what's going on in our criminal justice system, the last level, okay, that shady people have to get through is us. We're that last level of defense, okay? And they have to get through us. And you know when that time comes? When we, the jury, that's the last line right there, is to stop the corruption. Stop bailing out people when their cases are fucking shit. Send them, boom. Not going to go find somebody guilty, okay? Because you're trying to tug at my heart and trying to say that Abby and Libby, they solved their own case, guys. They left that video. That's what Nick McClellan said at the end of his closing. That video doesn't solve any murder. Sorry. That video doesn't show 2 girls screaming that they're being abducted. That video doesn't show a murder happening. That video does not show any weapons. Stop. Stop. NASA and Disney had to enhance pixelating to even try to show that there was somebody way back there to enhance that so that you could just see this figure walking. You can't see anything off the video. Why do you think they never showed us the video? Show us the video. Put it out there. Put the video out there. Why do you have to put something on a loop? Play the video for America. It's because the video, in my opinion, has no evidentiary value. Well, Anna, how could you say that? Because the video, after everything that happens after the video, that should worry you. Because after the 12 minutes or 12 or after 2:13, why that phone would stop making any steps from 2:18 to 2:25, that is problematic for what y'all think happened. Because what was going on from how are the girls as well as this man getting on over to walk towards the crime scene without the phone taking steps from 2:18 to 2:25? How do you think you get from the bridge where they were at to the crime scene? You think that they went swimming? You think they were swimming across that water? Abby's hair is not wet at all. Abby's hair is dry as fuck. Well, it makes more sense that the steps only continued until 2:18 because they all got into a vehicle. They all got into a vehicle on that side. They all got into a vehicle on that side. And now who just miraculously put themselves over there coming and driving a van now? Oh, Brad Weber. So Brad Weber, you lied back in the day and said that you didn't come home right away because you were servicing ATMs, right? Or what's the story now? But you basically lied for the police because you went against your original statements. And wait, the defense would have had the rebuttal to that. But Gull wouldn't let FBI agent Zoom to testify, from my understanding. Because he was on detail out in Texas for the fucking election. Because that guy is going to say that, no, Brad, this is what you told us. So Brad Weber, you changed your testimony and put yourself now there. During the time frame of when the phone is not taking steps because it would be in a car moving, because then it starts taking steps again. So then you want me to do my breakdowns with the Idaho4 case? Give me the fucking discovery. Give me the Delphi discovery. I'll probably find even more stuff that people haven't found. But you want me to sit in a jury room and listen to 12 people talk about how they talked themselves into coming back with a guilty verdict? Those 12 people have to live with themselves for the rest of their lives. And if they even look at this case and start finding out about this case, I feel bad for them. They were lied to when all of this stuff was suppressed. That wasn't allowed to be given and shown. You can't talk about Anthony's shots and the fact that the girls were talking to a fucking child predator right before they were abducted and murdered. Are you out of your minds? They could not talk about Keegan Klein and the Anthony shots account that was so much of this investigation. Why? Richard Allen's over here trying to show that, wait a second, I wasn't even on anybody's radar. I become on someone's radar due to what? They want to win an election or some shit like that, but fuck all that. Wait, the girl's cell phone was communicating with Anthony Schatz, who's Keegan Klein, on the day that they were murdered, trying to meet up. When the jury finds out about this, are you out of your mind? How would you feel if you were a juror? I'd be like, wait a second, excuse me? I could just keep saying this, like, oh my God, I didn't have this information. I'd be bawling, I'd be crying, I'd be calling people up and be like, this is crazy. And so the Idaho4, yeah, it coincides right with it. Go back and listen from the beginning. Talks about all the DNA. It's going to talk about how There's unknown DNA that was at that crime scene in Delphi that nobody cared about. Oh, and then one of them comes back to a police officer, state trooper, somebody that's hired with the ISP. And then here we have Idaho4, which only one, hey, get this little sheath on over, get that. I want to know how they were able to pull off of this tiny, tiny sample that would have been on that button sheath. I want to hear about how they got the skin cells to pop off of that and to get a full profile. I cannot wait to hear how they were able to do that, because in Indiana, holy shit, that woman couldn't get full profiles to save her life on anything. And then they were picking and choosing between if they're going to do, are we going to test the blood? Are we going to try to get this? Are we going to do fingerprints? Are we going to do, and so it's because it's like a bloody crime scene. Well, Idaho4, same type of thing. We're dealing with a very, very bloody crime scene. Are we going to go the route of taking blood samples? Are we going to go the route of doing skin cells when we're doing swabs? Are we going to go fingerprints on some stuff? We can't do, it's, woo! And then you want to talk about a one half of a shoe pattern sole latent print that's on the ground right by Dylan's bedroom. And that somehow makes it in the PCA, because that somehow helped arrest Brian Koberger. Yet we don't have a size associated with it. The fuck is going on here? Unbelievable. But jurors out there, that means citizens, because you never know when you could be called. We're the last line of defense against crap, against the bullshit. And just stop bailing people out that aren't doing their job. How can you possibly know if somebody is guilty or not guilty if half of the case is missing? And in Delphi, half of the case is missing. And so then we go here to the Idaho4 case, and we have Ann over here asking, where is this? Where is this? Oh, I don't know. Payne's up there talking about, I don't know. You have to go talk to this person or grab this, or do you have this, or do you have that? Where's all this shit? Wait, how are these male profiles? You guys didn't do anything with these male profiles? No. I don't know. We don't have them. Prosecutors don't have them in Idaho. I cannot wait to hear about the 113 pieces that were sent to the lab in the Idaho State Police had that went from 103 to 113. Can't wait to see what those 10 new pieces are. So, families and victims, they deserve justice, and justice comes from truth. And it comes from our jurors doing their jobs. And I've just seen, people think someone's arrested and that they're accused, and now you have to basically prove your innocence, not the other way around, the way that should be. It'll be interesting if Hitler also grants this speedy trial and turn the death penalties off the table. And if he follows precedent with Vallow, then that would mean the Idaho4 trial would be starting in 70 days from that ruling. Just throwing that out there. And Taylor says that she's ready to go. So could something change in the Idaho4 case? Would this be something that happens? And that tells me a lot. Do you guys know about that? You guys do know that Brian had to pick between one of his competing rights. Like he has the right to, X, Y, and Z. And he had to forego one of them. And they said, hey, we will be resurfacing. We're going to be talking about this again. And that was the hearing, and that was just last week. And so I thought about that, and I'm like, well, yeah, Lori Vallow had got the death penalty off the table. And how this wouldn't be the same type of situation is because Brian Kober had to cough up one of his, competing rights. So, that would help the families to have it sooner. They don't have to, wait as long. When would that put it? It would put it out, like, if that was to happen, it would be February? End of February? Yeah. Middle of February? That'd be wild. Everybody needs to change their Airbnbs. Thank you guys, though, so much. So we just have to do better as citizens with our duties, with jury duty. I really feel that, I don't know, people aren't either paying attention or they're just like, I don't know. Okay, fine. I'll defer to you because it seems like you took all these notes and you just know so much more than me because of your occupation. No, come on. There was people admitting when they were being asked questions, hey, I have a hard time remembering things. I just would not be a good juror. Like, trust me, like, you don't want me on your jury. Like, I was like, that's so awesome with that person. Like, I'd be saying that too. Like, it would not be, I would not do good. I would not do good. I would not make a good juror. I cannot remember things. My kids have to remind me to eat. That's what she said. And I was like, bless her heart. I was like, honesty right there. So, so tonight I am showing a body cam of a gentleman who was accusing one of his Idaho professors as being the Idaho4 killer. The police go to his house, the professor, and he answers the door and has conversations with the police in Moscow for about 40 minutes. Not sure if he is naked or if he was wearing these red, like whitey tighties, but they're not white. It's wild, this body cam. But this is new. It's never been released. So there's multiple now professors that were being blamed for the murders. Isn't that weird? And then lo and behold, here's Brian, who was TA at a different school. So, so that's tonight. I can't remember what I put it at, 9 or 10 or something like that. But yeah, it's wild. Well, the reason it's more wild is that it then resurfaces. So like that happened back in 2022. Then this kid calls the police again to talk about this professor, and he then gets arrested. Like, we're going to talk about it all later. It's wild. So Sandy D says professors, teachers, and coaches need to be investigated in Delphi. I think truckers need to be investigated. How do you investigate truckers? I don't know. I think people that were driving pig trucks. Dude, I saw so many people driving pig trucks when I was in Delphi. Oh, and like I like to try to always end. Oh, thank you so much. LaDonna sent me a Cash App. Thank you so much. I just always end on like a good positive, or like some humor. You guys doing all this stuff all the time. It takes a toll. Let me show you guys something here just to set the record straight. You guys will appreciate it. When I was in Delphi, again, Doug Carter, he's been a big face of this, trial. And so I want to show you guys that why we were so confused if it was Doug Carter or if it was Aspen who was, rubbing. Elvis Fields used to work on a pig truck with one of his friends. Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay, shut the fuck up. Oh my God, I have so much to say about this, you guys. My next big live that I'm doing to talk about what's going on in Delphi and the surrounding areas has to do with a pig truck. Oh my God, you guys are gonna die when I tell you about this. Okay, so going back to what I want to show you guys, which is we've settled the debate. All right, the debate has been settled. And let me bring this up, my community page. And okay, here it is. Make sure everybody can see it. Okay. The debate has been settled. Okay. The Delphi debate. Who wore Doug Carter's arm better? This on the right is Doug Carter's wife. On the left is Aspen. And just so everybody sees, we are not crazy. They could be twins. So Doug Carter's wife is on the right, and on the left is Aspen. So when we took the notes and said that Aspen was rubbing Doug Carter's back, I want everybody to see why the fuck this was said. And it is because these two are fucking twins. They have the same glasses, okay? Those are two different people. And on the right, that is Doug Carter's wife. And on the left, that is Aspen. Just so we're clear. And, I have to put my spin of fun on there. And I said, who wore Doug Carter's arm better? But those are two different people. That is Doug Carter's wife on the right, and that is Aspen on the left. And so when we are taking our notes and we see, okay, so Bella's like, oh my God, Aspen is rubbing Doug Carter's back, getting him calmed down for this big, verdict release. And so I said this to Julie. I was like, is Julie calls three-way or calls my phone. I put on speakerphone. And so we're driving. Julie's talking. I was just like, and Bella's, I was like, Aspen was sitting in the front row. And then she's like, oh my God, yeah, Aspen was rubbing Doug Carter's back. And then Julie's like, no, that is his wife. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, he turned, I saw his glasses and everything. Like, that is totally, dude, let me just put it to you this way. If there was a crime that would have been committed, I would have picked Aspen out of a lineup over and been like, yeah, he did it. And then unless they're going to bring in Doug Carter's wife, and I'm be like, oh my God, no, now I don't know who did it. Who was Aspen? Aspen, he was covering the part of the Delphi case. So he was down there. And so I'm over here like, I'm dead. I fucking give up. I was like, holy shit, Doug Carter's wife is fucking Aspen's twin. I couldn't even breathe. I said, no fucking way. And it's true. And I said, stop. I said, this is not. I was like, oh God. Isn't that wild? I just. So this is how easily people can be mistaken for crimes, folks. So anyways, I have to end. So that's my funny post. It was just, so you guys can see that on the community page. But who wore Doug Carter's arm better? It was a joke. Me and Aspen actually a couple different times had a drink out in Fort Wayne once over there, and then in Delphi. So cheers and hello to Aspen. So, but all right, guys, See you on the flip side. Take care. Thumbs it up. Share it. Do your thing. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the super stickers. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Hold on. Oh, Lynn's. Woo! 5 gifted memberships. Oh my God, I missed these. Kelly Mack. Woo! Oh my God, wait a second. Why aren't I seeing any of these? Karen. Karen did another 20. Woo! Karen, I missed that. Karen, are you still in chat, love? Kelly Mack, thank you. Lynn's, thank you. What is this? Gretchen, member for 10 months. Yes, baby time. The sheath had to be pulled off of a belt, so were victims wearing gloves? Obviously, there should be more than one profile. Yeah, that's why I think they're saying the word placed, because it looked like it was just like placed there, you know. I would think there'd be blood on it. I would think that, you know, but hey. Blue Line King 7, thanks for all you do. Question, do you know how much hair was found in Abby's hand? Yes, 2. There was at least 2. And it had, they call it skin tag. So I was right when I reported that. Skin was attached to the root. So that's somebody pulling. And that was what was in Abby's hand. Now, these, remember, are the clean hands. The clean hands that had no blood on them. Okay? So was somebody holding somebody down, and here at the last minute, maybe, you know, I'm just saying, in her hand, wrapped around her fingers, Abby's fingers were, it was skin attached to the root of the hair, 2 hairs at least. Gretchen, $5. Thank you so much. Jurors should deliberate together, but each one keeping their decision to themselves and then vote separately and privately. Yeah, like put it in a box or something. Yeah, something needs to change. I mean, just understanding these instructions, but it's all subjective. What's reasonable doubt? Well, no, I don't think it's reasonable that it could be anybody other than Richard Allen. Well, that's unreasonable to me. That is just absolutely fucking ridiculous based off of what we just heard in here. So, Young Black Economist, what's up? Thank you so much. Oh, member for 3 months too. Shake it, mama. Woo! Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, thank you. There you are, Karen. Oh, thank you so much. Karen fucking turned the whole damn chat green. Love you, Karen. So Yuri, there you are. Yeah, if you want to have a little rant session, rewind this, put me on probably 1.5 speed, and it probably sounds like amazing crack. So Idaho4 with a comparison to Delphi. Yeah, a little bit of Karen Reed sprinkled in there, but basically this is about jurors. Jurors. All right. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. I'll be doing a live tonight if you guys want to see a wild body cam. And I'm making sure that I'm watching it, so my reactions are going to be raw. So I downloaded it without viewing it, and then I had to just make sure that it completed its download and that it was all good to go. And that's all I know about it is the synopsis of the report. And so I'll be watching it for the first time with all of you. So I get that raw, good reactions. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. See you later. See you later.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.